Howdy YouTube, Darlington Farm here, just over here in the wood shop, and thought I would take a minute to show you the sanders that I use to put a nice finish on this arts and crafts cabinet. Here are the sanders that I used. Starting off here with the ETS 155, really a nice finish sander. This is a random orbit sander with a 5mm orbit. Really nice for the finish sanding on this. I just ran this down to 220. I know some people would probably go a little farther, but I think for this 220 grit is just fine, but it really does a nice job. It's nice and light and maneuverable, and it's pretty easy to keep this on here where you don't shift off to one side or the other, as far as keeping it nice and flat. Now in the corners, right like this, I have another Festool sander here that I like, and that is the LS 130. Now this is kind of a specialty one. It is not a random orbit, but it simply goes back and forth. And what is really nice is with the angle head here, you can just pop this in the corner and it just kind of sands it like that. And if there's any glue or anything like that in the corner there, it just pops it right out of there and puts a nice smooth finish on it. And the same thing goes for the inside of your corners here, or the inside of your panels here. Works really well for that. Kind of a specialty sander, so not everybody's going to have one, but I really find it quite useful. Then for smaller areas here, we've got the RO90, which this also has a detail sander head. I did not use it on this cabinet, but it's nice if you're trying to get into a small area like that. It's really nice and small, and this also has the Rotax option, which if you're not familiar, a sander like this, or a sander like this, that is a random orbit only sander, moves the pad in kind of a motion like this. The Rotax sanders here, they have a 90mm, 125mm, which I don't have, and then the 150mm. They have the option of the random orbit mode plus using a powered rotation. So in addition to that eccentric motion, it has a rotating motion, which is really nice for keeping things like this flat when you're doing your rough sanding. I don't really like it for your finish sanding. I think it's a little too aggressive, but it really removes stock really quickly. When you glue up a panel like this and there's a little bit of a difference there, you can put it in Rotax mode and it just will flatten it out and put a nice smooth finish on there. But yeah, the RO150 here is basically just an overgrown RO90. Really is a nice sander. I think if I had to choose, if I only had one of these, I'd probably go for the 150 here. It gives you the ability to switch between Rotax and random orbit, where you can flatten an area like this, but also do a finish sanding on it. The only thing I don't like is it's kind of heavy. It's more of a two-handed sander, and it's kind of awkward, I think, to do your finish sanding with it. I prefer the ETS here, and I'm actually kind of thinking of getting I think it's called a Mercon. They're a little DC palm sander that kind of looks like an air sander. I kind of noodling with the notion of picking up one of those as I build kind of more and more stuff here. This is a little heavy, and when you're trying to do it one-handed, and then I like to go over with my other hand and kind of feel. I don't really necessarily like looking at a finish to decide if it's sanded. I prefer just to kind of feel it, so I kind of like going one-handed, and then kind of run along behind with my other hand to feel it. But anyway, yeah, that's those are the sanders that I'm using here on this cabinet. Finishing it here, I'm going to be using some green trans tint and some denatured alcohol, so it'll kind of come out like the lighter parts of this. I was trying to decide how I wanted to do this, but I think I'm going to use the kind of a lighter, maybe where it's kind of like over here, where it's just a little hint of green, and then I'm probably going to go over it with some Danish oil. So that's kind of my plan. I will keep everyone posted as far as how this turns out. And anyway, thank you for watching. Hope that gives you kind of an explanation of some of the Festool Sanders here, and click, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned.